Hey everyone, it's Amber with Sinless Sweets and welcome back to the Sinless Sweets Kitchen. So we have a very special recipe that we're gonna be doing for you guys today. So if you've been following along all this season, you've seen me do vegan options, dairy-free options, a couple breakfast things, a couple dessert options, but today we are actually gonna be showing you guys a savory lunch item that you guys can do in the comfort of your own home. And of course, like every other Sinless Sweets recipe, everything is in one bowl. So let's get started. Today we are going to be making my famous tuna salad. So some people don't like tuna, so you could always sub tuna for chicken, but the recipe would still be the same. You're just going to swap out the protein. So for this recipe, we're going to be doing the tuna salad. You're going to be needing one 11-ounce package of Light Kiss tuna. Now, you don't have to, if you didn't want to make as much tuna salad, you could get a smaller can. I like the packages because the oil in the water is already drained out of it, so it just makes your job a little bit easier and it doesn't make it so mushy in the bowl. So the first step is we're going to open up the tuna. Now, like I said, if you don't like tuna, you can always use chicken. Either one of those options work. The base of the other recipe, or the base of this recipe though, is really good. So we're just going to add all of this to one bowl. Now, I love tuna salad. I grew up with my dad making tuna salad for me every Sunday after church. So this has always been a household favorite ever since I was a little girl. So I just figured, why not share it with you guys, especially if you're following a keto, low carb, sugar-free, or gluten-free diet. So we have one package of tuna. And then next we are going to add in one hard-boiled egg. Now, I already have my egg hard-boiled, so I'm just gonna chop it. Now, you can leave the yolks in. I typically take the yolks out, so we're just gonna take those out and set those to the side. And then you're just gonna wanna cut it up into tiny pieces. Now, I don't know about you guys at home. I've never been the best at boiling eggs. So I boil these eggs on high for probably, I think like 20 minutes. But according to my husband, I think you only have to boil them for like 8. So either way, we got them done, right? So that is one full hard-boiled egg. Now, if you do like hard-boiled eggs, you can always add in more than one. I just did one for the recipe. This is how my dad always did it on Sundays. So one hard-boiled egg, then one of my secret ingredients is half of an avocado. So you can see I've already cut the avocado in half. So all I'm gonna do is just take out the skin, and then we're just gonna chop it into tiny pieces. Now, you can do this 2 different ways. You can, if you like chunky avocado, you can do like big chunks. If you liked mashed avocado, you can go ahead and mash it previously before putting it in. I got a really ripe, the opposite of ripe. I got an opposite of ripe avocado, so I'm having to cut that skin off a little bit. But it does the trick, right? So we're gonna go ahead and chop this up. Now, I love guacamole, and so I love the chunky avocado. So we are gonna do the chunky avocado in this recipe. But like I said, if you liked more of a mashed, you could get like even the guacamole packets that are like previously seasoned. You could even get those and add it in if you didn't wanna chop your own avocado or didn't have access to an avocado at home. So we're gonna just chop that and put that on there. And like I said, everything is in one bowl. So we're just gonna chop that until it's nice and chunky. Perfect. And then we're gonna take this and just throw it in the bowl. So far we have our tuna, our hard-boiled egg, and our avocado. And then now we're gonna add the seasonings. So I do a little bit of garlic powder and a little bit of garlic salt. So you can just sprinkle that in. I don't really measure that. I just kind of taste test at the end to see if I need to add more. A little bit of cracked black pepper. So we'll put a little bit of pepper in there. And then I am not a huge onion person, but I do love onion powder. So I kind of just put it in my hand first because I never know how much is, like that. I never know how much is gonna come out. So add a little bit of onion powder and then dill relish. Now this is optional. I really like dill, but you could also use a sweet relish if you like more of sweet relish, but we're gonna be doing 2 tablespoons of that. Now, just measure that out. And I do measure out the relish because I like to try to leave some of the juice in here. Otherwise, you're gonna get more of a pickly tasting tuna salad, and I don't really want that. So I just like the crunch of the dill pickle. And then now we're gonna add in our mustard. Now with this, you're gonna use probably about 1 to 2 tablespoons. Again, it's a personal preference, what you wanna use. I just thought I would share my personal recipe sorry, my personal recipe that my dad shared with me a long time ago. All right, and then we're gonna add this. Now, the one thing I will say, my dad, the missing ingredient that we're not gonna be adding today, my dad always added a little bit of sugar to his tuna salad. Now, I'm not really sure why he did it. It was absolutely delicious, but we're not gonna be adding sugar today. We're gonna keep it this way. All right, so we have all of our ingredients mixed. So now all we're gonna do is just mix this together. Now, like I said, if you're not a fan of tuna salad, you can use the same recipe. My mom is not a tuna salad person, but she loves a good chicken salad. So you can use this same recipe, but just sub out the chicken. You can get rotisserie chicken and cut it up. You can get canned chicken, either one you wanted to do. But now that that is nice and mixed, as you can kind of see, oh my gosh, I can't wait to dive into this. It smells heavenly. All right, so now that that's nice and mixed, I'm gonna talk about the different options. So if you're following a keto, low carb, or gluten-free diet, we do have some different options that I wanted to share with you guys on how you could enjoy your tuna salad. Now, we have lettuce. Now, I really like the living lettuce because it gives you like bigger florets that you can use and you can kind of fill it with tuna salad. So you have lettuce that you can use. One of my other ones, if you want something a little bit crunchy but still low carb, the lightly salted rice cakes. You can just take a couple scoops of this tuna salad, put it right there on a rice cake, and it gives you not only the delicious goodness of a tuna salad, but also the crunch and the lightly salty taste of a rice cake. And then one of my newer favorites that I've been using are these Mission Zero Carb wraps. Now, these are the small ones, so there are a few less carbs. I think there's like 0 net carbs in these, but they have the, this one in particular is the sun-dried tomato basil, which is really good with tuna salad, but they also make plain ones. They have the mini ones and then they have big ones. But these are just different options that you can use if you are looking for a quick lunch option and you're kind of running out of ideas. I know typically when I'm following a keto diet, I tend to run out of ideas and you do the same thing over and over. So this is a really good mixture of just a different lunch option or dinner option that you can do that's quick and you can just take it and run. So these are the bigger lettuce leaves, just like this. So you can do 2 or 3 to kind of give you a little bit more of a base. Or you can just do 1. It just kind of depends on your lettuce preference. And then of course we have the rice cake. Now, one of these is only 35 calories and only 7 grams of carbs. So depending on what your carb intake is like, this makes for a really good option. So we're gonna put one of those on there. And then we are gonna do one of the Mission Zero net carbs. Now, like I was telling you before, they do have the sun-dried tomato basil, but then they also make the plain ones too, if you didn't like the flavor of that. So now I'm just gonna show you how I plate it. So all you're gonna do is you're just gonna take it and then you're just gonna put a little bit on each. Now, like I said, you can measure it out. I just kind of eyeball it, but there we go. So now you have 3 different options for lunch, and you know that you can eat tuna salad. Like I said, it's super easy to make. Everything is all in one bowl. It's got, you know, your protein, your healthy fats, and then of course some delicious flavor. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Don't forget to check us out on our website at sinless-sweet.com. We have all of our shipping options on there. We do ship nationwide. All you have to do is just place your order in the cart and it comes to your doorstep within 2 to 3 business days. And then if you're local to the Augusta area, don't forget we do have a brick and mortar storefront location located at 4336 Washington Road in Evans, Georgia, Suite B. And of course, if you love what you see and you love following along, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can stay up to date on all things Sinless Sweets. Thank you guys so much for joining me in the kitchen. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Definitely like and comment below and let me know what else you would like to see in the Sinless Sweets kitchen. Y'all have a great day.